You're now tuned into the Lady Charmaine Live Show, and I'm your host, Lady Charmaine. And as always, I have another great interview for you today. Now, we think of movies and songs like Talk to Myself, Dreaming, or Promises, or how about New Jack City? This person just might come to mind, and I tell you who it is coming up right after this. Yesterday hit the scene in the late 80s sounding like a light-skinned Teddy Pendergrass. He had the ladies wooning and swooning with his silky soul voice, and he had 5 top 20 singles. And he is here today to talk about his TV One unsung episode, The Story of Christopher Williams. Help me welcome back to the Lady Charmaine Live Show, Mr. Christopher Williams. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, what's up, Steve? How you been?
I am good. Now,
thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. Now, the one thing I can always say, the reason why you're special to me, which I'm going to let the audience know, well, I remember I think it was towards the end of 1988, Al B. Sure was telling me that he had a brother that was going to be coming out with an album. He was handsome. He was going to love him, right? So I'm like, really? So I'm like, he looked that good. He's just as cute as you, right? And he was telling me all about you. So I said, okay, well, I can't wait to hear his music. Well, I ended up getting an internship at Warner Brother Records right before I left to go to Grambling State. So then they told me, well, there's going to be an artist that they wanted me to promote on the campus, and we're going to send you his pictures, and all the ladies are going to love him. So guess who came in the mail at Grambling State University? His name was Christopher Williams. So you were the first person.
That's a small world. That's a cool connection.
So you were the first person.
And you know what's so funny? 30 years later, how God works. We're still connected, and He's still blessing us. We're still working, and Al is still championing his little brother. You know what I mean? And we're not blood brothers, but it's cool to just hear, reminders. Sometimes it's funny because I was shooting Unsung Live yesterday, and Al's on the radio in Dallas. He's syndicated now and all over the country, and he took time out just to call me and make sure everything was good, and wanted to. And told me he was proud of me, and he was joking and saying he was in the airport, and somebody asked him how to feel to have Nino stab him in the hand. But the same thing happens to me all the time. When I got to Atlanta, somebody came to me saying, "I'm so sorry about the loss of your son's mother, Kim Porter," and I was like, "Oh, thank you," and I was like, "Okay."
Like that wasn't me, and
because.
I was going to tell you what's funny. I watched his interview as he did you live on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
cool.
he was recording your interview live. So we got a chance to listen to your interview as he was actually doing it live in the studio. But it's just so nice to hear how people still mix you guys up in the relationship that you both definitely still have. So I want to talk about that. How did you and Al meet?
Oh, we're cool, man. Like I said, we all feel blessed, man. We miss Gerald, to just see, all my brothers, Bobby Brown, we all used to hang out, and it was Bob was first, and then Gerald came, and Gerald embraced me first. I was already with Al in New York, and then recording-wise, Warner Brothers never really wanted me and Al to record, which was a tragedy. But, that's the bureaucracy of the music business, because they didn't realize that solidarity is stronger than the silly stuff that they would try to pit us against each other, but it never worked. But, it's funny, me, Al, and Bobby met at Nordstrom's about 3 years ago in Woodland Hills and had lunch. And Al B. Sure asked Bobby Brown, do you think we would have survived if in the 90s we had Instagram and Facebook? And Bobby fell out the chair, and he said, no, Jesus, no. He was we'd all been dead.
Well, that is so nice.
So we're just happy to still be around, still be doing our thing, and we still love and support each other. I mean, though our lives have taken different turns, we're not hanging out anymore like we used to, but we get to spend more different quality time around. Like I said, it's always cool to hear that my brother in arms still has my back. My big bro still got my back because they were first. I was the last of the Mohicans.
Right, right. And so you came on the scene. I'm talking about you just blew it up because we all became fans of yours because you're tall in stature, your good looks, and your voice was just very sexy, and it just catapulted us all. Of course, I talked to myself. I'm dreaming, and all those muscles that we had all over the video. We just couldn't help ourselves. So I wanted to say thank you for the good music that you brought to us in
Well,
the 80s.
I'm gonna let y'all know I love y'all too, and I couldn't help myself either.
Look, I found that out, so we won't talk about that because I know you was a ladies' man and you love the ladies. That's what I heard, and that's what I saw in the video. He said, "Yeah." Now let me ask you a question. Now I know you were like a multiple ladies man. So what are you now? Are you now a one woman's ladies man? Are you just one woman? Tell me where you are now.
Oh yeah, you know what it is. Like that's what I think. That's part of the thing that I wanted to make sure with the episode. I actually, I love the producer Isaac and TV One did a phenomenal job. They were absolutely amazing. But it's always cool to see the different perspectives because you try to put a button and be honest. I wanted to be honest, and for the first time, I really wanted to open up because, like I said, I trust them, and they were all intelligent and smart, and everyone felt like they really had integrity about what their skill set was from the person perceived to be at the bottom all the way to the top. So they treated me really great. So I really opened up. And I was only trying to say, like, I spent my college years working in the music business. So at times my hotel room would resemble a frat house. And I was just being honest. I mean, and I would have 30, 40 women in my room and maybe 3 or 4 of my friends.
Wow.
And it wasn't even just about the end result is sometimes, there was a jump off, but the thing for me was more the connection with cool people, and obviously, I mean, beautiful women. It was, but that was more like for maybe a couple of years, and I kind of deemed that as my college years that I missed. So I never got to be in the fraternity and do any frat business. I've never been a drinker. So but I never got to smoke a bong in college or smoke to smoke a chalice or whatever you smoke. You know what I'm saying? But I never got to do any of that kind of stuff. And I think I lived it, through my professional career because I was so watching Al do it at such a young age. It only made me more driven. And New York just wasn't the place for me to find my deal. But thank God I was able to get to California and David Geffen signed me. And yeah, I had some fun when I was younger, and a lot of it was a little unorthodox, I'll admit now. But I shortly after that became a one-woman man. I always was, actually, but I just had a couple of years where I was feeling myself. I was young, I had a lot of stamina and energy, and I was on one. So I apologize if that offended anybody, but I was only telling my journey and trying to just be transparent. But yes, of course, I'm now, I'm who I am,
But since you're so open and you've been so open and you're so candid, when you have a man that has, your dashing good looks, of course, when is it that you finally decide that I'm just going to be a one woman man? Because at the moment you were just in it and all these ladies are just loving you. Is there a turning point in your life?
Again, I'm going to be honest and clear. A lot of that stuff that happened that I was speaking about was in my high school and college years. Okay. It wasn't more so even with it was literally right after Promises. All of the shenanigans stopped because I really at that time honestly was in a relationship, and I had to decide whether I was going to ruin this relationship totally or grow up. And we just decided, which was with my son's mom, Stacy. We decided to part because the trust had been broken and other things. And it wasn't just one-sided, the things that I had done. It was just, we just had some issues and we had to move on from each other. But again, and at that time, I'm never not a one-woman guy. It's just that the job that I had as a young man, and again, you got a theater with 2,500, or you're at the Superfest, and there's 15,000 people there, and there's probably maybe 800-900 women at the after party or backstage waiting to meet you or something like that. And again, it doesn't even start out like, we're going to the hotel for the after party. It's just a connection. And then as you get to a more intimate environment, sometimes things would happen. But I've always more so been a relationship guy. I mean, I pointed out I'm married 30 years.
Wow.
Me and Halle Berry had a relationship. Me and Stacey Dash had a relationship, but again, I was super, super young, trying to be. I was always. My father would always say, "You're mannish. You're too mannish." So I was trying. I had a household when I was 18 years old. I had a kid when I was 19. I had my own apartment. I've always been a hustler, and I've always tried to. I had to get out on my own. I explained that I was adopted by my aunt, but my aunt is truly my mom. And I just had a really. I kind of was like Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer of the Bronx, and I ran with a pack of young wolves. We were like wolves and hyenas mixed in one.
Okay.
And we lived off the land. I mean, like these kids now, like my precious niece and nephew. I'm like, thank God you don't have to go through what your uncle went through. I was on a train when I was 8 years old.
Going where?
I was on I explained to them, like I was robbing pizza shops when I was in 3rd grade.
Oh, wow.
And I don't even realize the grace on my life, because I'm really thinking these guys are scared of me. That I'm getting away with this pizza pie, and they're really scared. They were openly feeding me, and later on, me and the guy from the pizza shop became friends, and I paid him back in some form or fashion. He would make me like mop the floor, because I'm also very anal about cleanliness. So whenever I had a chore, like even when I first gave my life back to Christ and I started going to church, my deceased pastor, who I just buried at the end of the year last year, the late great Dr. Bradley, he would say, "Well, I know you don't want to sing," because I was like, "Dude, I don't want to sing." I was in a place in my life where I just needed to be built up. I needed to be spiritually built up, and I was like, "I don't want to sing. I don't want to do any Christopher Williams stuff." He was like, "Well, okay. Well, what do you want to do?" I was like, "I want to clean the bathrooms." He was like, "No, what the?" He was like, "Hell no, you can't." My pastor said, "Hell no, you can't clean no bathrooms, man." I was like, "Listen, I'm not dissing you." I said, "The new church is nice, but it's not as clean as it should be."
Wow.
So I started manning the cleaning crew in my church, and my wife started teaching the kids, because she had always wanted to be a teacher, and he was like, "Okay, now you're a teacher." But as I started doing that for 2 weeks, he pulled me out because he realized that I was better at prison ministry. I slipped up one day and went on a retreat with some of the brothers from the joint, from the church, and we were visiting the prisons, and I was in the back most of the time, and then the spirit just moved, and I started talking, and it was like an uprising in the prison, and Pastor asked that I would keep doing it because he felt like what I had gone through in my life, and that God had put me in a place where I had reins in both areas, that I could reach people who were hurt and shut out, and I could let them see through faith and belief there's something greater holding us, and there's a greater shield than your fist or your pistol. And that's when I started speaking, and my life started changing, honestly. And again, like my values and what I'm doing this for now, I still love music. I still love having fun. I still love acting, but I want to tell great stories that pass on to children, whether it's through my love songs or through these intellectual properties. I have a story about my late great aunt Ella Fitzgerald. I've had an interesting and unique, blessed life. And though I've never reached the heights of my wonderful brothers, Will Smith or people like that, I've touched all of them. I have a record with Will Smith. I'm best friends with his sister. Me and his mom love each other. I'm proud of him. And the thing I'm most proud of is the same thing as my aunt said. I've never asked anybody for anything. I do it on my own, and I allow God to move. And when I see that I'm chasing something, like people like, "Why you dropped out so long?" Because I'm not just music. I'm a man first. And people ask, "Well, when you leave your legacy, what do you want them to say about your music?" That whatever they say is fine. But what I want them to say is, out of all the things I am and whatever I hope to be, there's a worshiper and a good man of faith in him. That dude is cool. He had a good heart. That's all I really ever care about. Like, again, when I say just that, and I talk about that connection, because people want to go to, "Oh man, he had 3-4 women in the bed at the same time." I'm not at all poking my chest out like Wilt Chamberlain. I'm not going to write a book about it, though. It was a lot of fun, and and I'm not going to lie, it was amazing. It was and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't feeling myself. You know what I'm saying? In some sorts, but we've all done that. I mean, women are beautiful. So you get to that point where you know you're blossoming, and men of all ages are saying, "Hey, beautiful," and all that kind of stuff. You kind of start to feel yourself in some form of fashion. And for me, it just went to that level because, again, it wasn't me just condoning to do it, and it just happened. But it was a short blurb in my life. I call it my frat years that I missed in college. It was, and again, it was fun. And any guy that's listening to me right now, I don't know if there's a guy on earth who one day hasn't thought of, man, what would it be like to be like one of the kings in Africa back in the day, where you just have 5 beautiful women getting along and everybody's family.
Well, I must say, well, what I wanted to say this about your story, Christopher.
I mean, Wakanda forever, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I'm a female, so I don't know about that. But what I want to say to you is,
right, because no, again, and I get that, and I get, because I'm a male too, because again, when you put the shoe on the other foot, it's like, oh, okay, wait a minute, now I get it. I get what the responsibility of intimacy is and real love. And we all know, as you get older in life, or you become a grown-up, love becomes a partnership. I mean, because you start having to man the relationship of your children, of your finances, of your home, of your belief system, what you agree to disagree about. It doesn't stay in that romantic, oh my God, I'm so it stays like that, but it turns into something so much greater.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
well, Christopher,
again, I'm 52 now. Those are my frat years.
Well, Christopher, I want to say, first off, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I'm so glad that you talked about Jesus on the show and your relationship and you being a worshiper. The one thing you and I do have in common, I remember at my church when my pastor was divvying out jobs, the same thing. And then I told him, well, because we were moving into a new church building and he was divvying out jobs. And I told him, I said, I want to do the bathrooms. But he looked, he was like, you want to do the bathrooms? And that bathroom was the dirtiest, nastiest bathroom I had ever seen in my life. And I was able to get that bathroom so crystal clean to where he ended up making that his restroom that he used only just for him. But it's funny that you and I kind of got those, that same story, and only I knew was what God was going to be doing in my life.
And it's funny. I used to apologize for doing that to people, organizing their shelves and everything. I'd be like, you let me in your house, I'll reorganize it.
Wow.
But it's funny, as I started getting back into the Word and stuff, I would read some of the parables in the Bible where God wanted order. Before he blessed the people, he was like, don't get everybody in groups of 40. And then he blessed the multitude. He wants order. It's even like when people think of, the upper room, they think that's like from like church. No, it's the place where you meet him every day. If you consistently meet God, like it says, you take one step, he'll take two. If you choose to tree in your backyard, he'll meet you there every morning. And you'll start to get a greater revelation about your life. You become a better person. You have better faith, better self-esteem. You can let things go. You can forgive people. And you don't become a deity to yourself.
Right.
Like when you're trying to please man all the time, you're not the most famous, or you don't have the most money. You can't function, or you don't feel good. Those are demonic spirits.
Absolutely.
And, when you keep that balance in your life, you're just happy to live.
Well, Christopher, with everything that you've learned.
What you have.
Oh, go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
I'm actually getting ready to walk into the airport.
Yeah, I can hear you outside. I can hear you outside because this is going to be my last one. Out of everything that you've learned throughout your career, because we were talking about Christopher Williams is going to be on TV One. His TV One Unsung Story airs this Sunday, so I want to make sure that everyone tune in. Out of everything you learned in your career, and even the mistakes that you've made that people are going to see, is there anything that you would have done differently?
No.
So no. Even under Harrell's office,
every test and every I can't change anything because that's who I was at that time, and those lessons for both me and Andre and the injustices that were done in the music business. Now again, I don't condone a reaction to it. I don't think you fight wrong what's wrong anymore, but the persecution and injustice that have been done and still being done. We're still attacking each other for a lot of times no reason.
Right.
So the persecution of artists that have been going on is disgraceful. What they depict us as in Hollywood is disgraceful. The fact that a person would ask me because I don't have a record deal as a slave with a white man, am I okay, is disgraceful.
Wow. Wow. What a way to end the show.
I'm a child of Jesus Christ. I'm a king because I serve a king. Why would I? You know, it's funny. Like I was listening to Whitney Houston's funeral, and it was disturbing me because it was like, why is this old guy Todd Davis talking about all Whitney was living for was to make him say she still got it? She didn't give it to herself. God gave it to her, so it can't go anywhere. So He said so.
All right. Amen.
But
Amen.
the deity of these people in this world are so crazy that that's how they become Harvey Weinstein. And we allow that sickness to permeate, and we celebrate it because we all become a deity to fame and title and money. And none of that stuff means anything. I'll leave y'all with this. And I'm not a burden pusher or anything like that. But whatever you do in your life that's not for Christ, it ain't eternal, and it ain't gonna matter. And I'm not saying that to hurt anybody or to the non-believer to try to hurt you or push an agenda, because I'm the type of believer that's praying for you. I don't want no harm for nobody. Because when I wanted harm, I lay hands on you. But that was wrong. But those were the circumstances I came out of. So for the first time, I was like, I'm not the regular light-skinned, curly-head dude. Because the perception is that means soft and all of this, small, and I'm none of that. Never have been. But I had to learn that anger is not zeal. Passion is not destruction. You gotta believe. Like this second chapter for me, like I said, Charlie Wilson, my big brother, my uncle, has, through his belief and seeing firsthand next to me, it's like seeing a miracle in front of you.
Right.
Where man has counted you out, stepped on you, said that if God gave you, they control it. They can do whatever they want with it. My ass. Charlie Wilson is living proof that Jesus reigns. And the name he calls right now and gives all the glory to is Jesus, despite everything he's done. Smoke, crack, whatever he's done, it don't even matter.
Absolutely.
Because he sees the best in you. When all of these people, these losers, are just what the young people call it, they hating. It don't even matter. I don't even think about stuff like that. I'm like, God bless you. Live your life. You sitting around thinking about me. You ain't living your life.
Well, Christopher, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. I know you have a plane to catch. I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story. And I want to remind the audience to be sure to tune into TV One Unsung, the story of Christopher Williams, airing this Sunday, 10/9 Central. Again, thank you so much, Chris, for coming on the show.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Look forward to having you back on the show. Bye-bye.